Hello, sci-fi fans. This is General Grievous from Star Wars, and you're listening to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. Roger, Roger.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
And good evening, I'm Miles P. McLaughlin.
I'm Sarah Raffensperger.
And I'm Dave Sellers.
And welcome back to the Diner tonight. Instead of reviewing TV shows and movies like we've been doing the past couple episodes, we're going to be talking about some news that has dropped over the past months that we're kind of excited about, or we wouldn't be talking about it on the Diner. So, so that's kind of the plug. That's kind of where we're headed with this. So, Miles, what is our first bit of news that we want to talk about here tonight?
Sure. So we have some trailers. The first one we'll review is the Thunderbolts trailer, and this was first on my radar from our former and sometime co-host M. She let us know that it dropped and that it looked good, and she was right. I think this is very hopeful. Marvel needs a hit, and maybe this is one. We got some Farpoint guest news. Farpoint's not till February of 2026, but we got little news on who will be one of the celebrity guests. And we have a Fantastic Four trailer, another Marvel trailer, which, I like what I saw so far. Scott and I had the opportunity to talk to voice actors who have voice acted their voice talents on the Star Wars animated shows. Miss Helen Wood and Matthew Sadler. We had a good time talking with them. Mr. Sadler is not only a voice actor, but he's also a audio engineer, audio editor. I mean, all the behind the scenes stuff with producing audio. That we found out what his background was, but we'll let you hear him tell his story.
We also had some news drop from the Star Wars universe with Star Wars Celebration in Japan, and so we will be sure to talk a little bit about that as well. Well, very good. Let's talk about, since you mentioned Thunderbolts trailer, let's talk about the Thunderbolts trailer. Has everyone watched it?
If I did, it was a while back.
Do you want to take a moment to watch it, and then we'll come back?
Lena, being a hero, there is no higher calling. Your sister understood something about that.
I should have come back for you.
No. That's just a fairy tale.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
But you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it. I am the void. Look what you unleashed. We can't outrun the emptiness.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
We all have things that we regret.
But I have so many.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
We can't stop him alone. No one can. But we can find a way. Together.
Marvel Studios Thunderbolts.
Under pressure. Chrissy, you look like you have something to say about this. Do you want to tell us your thoughts after watching the trailer? Why this certainly excites you. I can tell just from the reaction. It exists.
It exists. It's there. I don't know. It's not doing it for me. It was like, it's there. I could watch it. I couldn't watch it. If I don't watch it, I'm not missing anything. If I do watch it, it's gonna be within 2 hours. I don't know what it is. It's just not. It's like not grabbing me. It's just. It's inoffensive. It's there. I don't know what else to tell you.
Chrissy, what I hear you saying is what would make this trailer even better is if they would reinsert the song with like "Faith of the Heart."
Yeah.
That would make it. That would bring this trailer up to like a 10 for you. So.
You know, if they played that song, that would definitely get my butt in a seat.
That would definitely get your attention, wouldn't it? Yes.
Just to hate watch it.
Yes.
I actually don't hate watch things because I feel like that's rewarding bad behavior, and I don't do that. I only reward good behavior. We all know that I do have that Skinnerism in me.
All right, Miles, let's hear from you. What did you think of this? You said, hey, let's look at this trailer. We're excited about this coming out. This is another Marvel project. We haven't seen any Marvel projects for a little bit here. And is this, in your opinion, their comeback movie for them?
I want to be cautiously optimistic. There's some characters that I thought were in some good Marvel productions. Yelena Belova was in the Black Widow movie, and
so was the father.
Hawkeye show. Yeah, and the actor who played David Harbour, who played Red Guardian,
right,
was in that too. And we got Bucky Barnes back in there. Some others. So it looks like it's a team up movie. So I thought these characters, with the little I saw, had some good chemistry. So that's why I'm cautiously optimistic that this could be good. I haven't seen the last Marvel movie, and I should check the stats sometime. The last Captain America movie where Harrison Ford was Red Hulk. Did any of you see it?
No,
I have not. I want to see it, but I didn't want to see it enough to go to theaters to see it.
Yeah, I was just same here. I'm before I part with $20 to just go see a movie, I have to really, I want and have to see it, and I just wasn't sure. It was like I could wait. This could wait till it gets dropped on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But like I said,
So what I will say about this is you mentioned this being a team up movie, and I think that some of Marvel's strongest films have come with the team up films, and especially with the banter between the characters. And we have a little, we don't see much of that, but we see enough of it to say that this looks like this potentially could be there. And even little things like at the very end, you see Bucky's arm rolling down the floor, which is like this awesome throwback to the, Rocket Raccoon's Bucky arm theory, that potentially that that this may have some potential. I don't know that I'm going to go see that. Dave's going to need to crack a few to see it himself. But no, Dave, what are your thoughts on this trailer?
So, I loved Red Guardian in the Black Widow movie.
I like the Black Widow movie in general.
So did I. It's going to be interesting because you're now seeing all of those pieces that Elaine Bennis was working behind the scenes through all the little Marvel stuff, the shows and side movies at the end credits and all this stuff, bringing people together for something. And this looks like this is what it is. It'll be interesting to see the chemistry. I mean, with Psycho Fake Cap, if how he's dealing now. I actually kind of look forward to this one a little bit. I'm not saying I'm going to go see it in a theater because that's just a big commitment in time and money. But I wouldn't not go see it in the theater. Marvel's got me kind of jaded for a while here, a little bit now, just kind of burnt out with it a little bit. this could be has the potential to be a good start. I know nothing about the bad guy in this. I'm not a comic guy with it, so I don't know. I don't know much of this guy's backstory, but it will be interesting to see the Russian Avengers.
Yeah.
And what they go and do. I can guarantee there's going to be some kind of banter between either Bucky and the Big Russian or the Big Russian and Psycho Cap about the name of the group, the Thunderbolts. Thunder's a noise.
I think you saw that in one of the other trailers.
Okay. Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, we just lost internet.
But yeah, I'm kind of.
I mean, it's only got 20. What is this? It's got 14 million views, but only 29K likes. So.
We'll see.
And that could be just because of the story and everything like that. I mean, as long as they put together a good movie, which let's be real, Disney they're circling a drain here.
Right.
They need a hit. They need a win. Hopefully this will maybe not be the win they're looking for, but at least be a good
step in the right direction.
Momentum shifting movie.
Yep.
To swing the tide that way.
Sounds good. All right. So, Miles, where do you want to take us next? I know you have here, we have this report from Farpoint dropping in February of 2026. And we have a one star that's been announced from Strange New Worlds. Do you want to talk about this star?
Yeah. So Jess Bush, she plays Christine Chapel, Nurse Chapel. Strange New Worlds. She's been announced recently that she'll be one of the celebrity guests at Farpoint. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Dave will be a stuttering fool again. I love it.
That's.
Yeah. So the one noted caution, we're about a year out from that, and guests, they announce it and certainly whets our appetite, but we've been let down before. So we're hoping that, when guests have, commitments, like filming commitments, they take priority over these things. So hopefully she will stay committed and they have her locked in, loaded. So.
And if there's, a commitment for filming, season 5 of Strange New Worlds that's going to tie it up, at least that's a good excuse for me.
Right. Right.
I'm glad to know that she will clear it with you first to see if it's a good enough excuse.
Yes, she definitely does.
You know what? She can call me up and tell me she ain't coming, period. She's going to call me up. That's fine.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. So, Fantastic Four trailer on the dock.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
This car?
Our city, our planet, owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Herbie, how's that sauce looking? Okay. That is fantastic.
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
We can do this. Nothing's going to change.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space. And they hurt.
Are we safe?
I don't know. There's not enough time.
I'm not giving up. We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family. Has to be us.
We will protect you.
Dave, why don't you go first for us? We would love to hear your thoughts on Fantastic Four hitting theaters July 25th.
Why? We've done this twice now. Why? Like,
third time's the charm.
I know to steal a line from the lead actor, this is the way, but you made Silver Surfer a chick. Okay.
Which I thought was an interesting thing.
Has my vote.
All I saw of that was the South Park take on Kathleen Kennedy and how she did things there. But YouTube that, kids, if you want to see that monstrosity.
I don't think that the gender swap was necessary, but I also don't feel like it takes away from anything.
No. But it's just a typical Disney thing right now.
It's a thing that happened.
Why are
Way
we
to
back
villainize
in the 1950s?
females.
Why are we back in the 1950s?
So let me say this about the trailer for May. There is something about the Jetsons style nostalgic retro sci-fi. We haven't seen this in quite some time in television. Probably the closest we got to was a little bit of that in maybe Electric State, but we're going back beyond that. And in a franchise with both the rocket ships, just the way life is in the 50s, I think that with how dark, so let me argue for this trailer a little bit. Because of how dark I think that we are in America in general right now, the 50s kind of provide a nostalgic time of, everyone rooting for everyone and just standing by everyone. And you really get that coming through the trailers, right? In that, and so maybe they're hoping to capture that here in an American audience that needs a diversion from the heaviness that they feel like in the world right now. And
you're giving them an awful lot of credit here.
Maybe I am.
I'm actually with Scott a little bit here, because in the 1950s, but I thought it was more because of the story of the Fantastic Four is that they went up into space and they encountered some unknown thing, and that's what gave them superpowers. And I mean, a controversy aside, we just had a bunch of women hop up into space for a joyride
for 11 minutes.
They didn't even go into space. They're in the outer atmosphere.
The true astronauts here are these women.
Well, I'm not trying to get to the controversy around it. I'm just saying that we're now to the point where people are taking essentially joyrides up into space. So to set a story of, we went up into space and then something weird happened and we came back with superpowers, that'd be like me like, so I was driving over in Ohio and I encountered a weird thing and now I've got like laser hands. you know?
Right.
So,
If you ever go to Ohio, that could very well happen.
Ohio.
I don't know what that means, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just driving around, and all of a sudden you come out of Ohio with superpowers. Like, it
Probably
happens.
more Florida.
Yeah.
You know, I got bit
But-
by a crocodile.
But
and now I got
so for
crocodile.
me, I think I think so I don't know enough about the story and like who are these big feet that you see at the very end, right? And the Silver Surfer, they bring in that in, a classic villain for the Fantastic Four. It doesn't seem so. Their superpowers are not so accentuated maybe is a better way. They seem to be a little bit more subdued. Like if you remember the last one when they had the Fantastic Four, The Rock was this big bulky thing, and he's still there. But he's not near as such, or maybe over the top. So
I actually liked this better than the trailer that we just watched. I would be more like if someone said, "Hey, do you want to go see the Fantastic Four or do you want to see the Thunderbolts?" I'm like, actually, based on the trailer, I'd go see
Thunderbolts,
the Fantastic Four,
yeah.
looking at, you've got 16 million views here, 400,038K likes. So already you're seeing 400,000+ more likes than the other trailers. So I'm just based on those numbers alone. There's that. But I liked the 1950s aesthetic. I felt it fit the origin story of the Fantastic Four and like what that. It felt grounded in the original comics and cartoon that I don't know. It felt like a little bit more of an honest expression.
So
or maybe I'm too optimistic.
What I'm finding here is that those giant feet are the first glimpse we have of Galactus, who I guess is a top tier boss kind of level guy.
He's a Marvel baddie.
Marvel baddie.
Mm-hmm.
So this is apparently supposed to lead in through Marvel's Phase 6 and into Avengers Doomsday.
All right.
Allegedly.
Awesome.
So
we'll see.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll see. Miles, we didn't hear really your reaction to this. What was your thoughts about this this trailer? Chrissy and I giving it kind of glowing reviews. Dave's kind of like, not really my thing. Where are you at with this whole process?
Glowing. Hold on.
No, okay.
Let's not get carried away,
it was a step up from Thunderbolts, all right? Step up from
I had a very
Thunderbolts.
tepid response to Thunderbolts. I had a positive response to this. I didn't give it a glowing.
All right. But Miles, where are you at in this whole spectrum?
So, like Dave, I'm like, they've done Fantastic Four. Okay, so we had the one back in the 80s, which never saw the light of day because it was so bad after, I guess, producers or somebody saw it, they paid $1 million to make sure it, never saw the light of day.
That is commitment.
Yeah. The only way you might be able to find a bootleg version of it someplace, but not,
Challenge accepted.
Then we had the one back in the early 2000s. There's two of those. The first one was really good. The second one was okay. There's a third one out there I never saw. Em had seen it, and she said, "Don't waste your time." So I was like, "I'm not going to waste my time." And we don't talk about it. This one, I'm even more optimistic about this one. I think there's something about this one. It looks like it's fun. Going back, because I was looking, what time period does it take place? It takes place in the 60s in an alternate universe, alternate timeline from where the Avengers, the main timeline is, whatever. But I suspect somehow those timelines will meet. I liked what I saw. I mean, Pedro Pascal he hasn't done anything bad, or something that tanked that I know of in a while. I think he's the right man for, to play Reed Richards. I'm not familiar with some of the other people. I mean, he was one of the only few familiar faces I remember. John Malkovich has a part in it. I mean, that might be worth it alone just to see what they're going to do to have John Malkovich do. The worst it gets is entertaining.
Right.
Very, very. Other than, is this the first time we have like a legitimate pregnant superhero?
That's a great question. I think it definitely in Marvel. I can't think of anything.
Because I know like Scarlet Witch was like pregnant for like literally a hot second in her time.
Right.
So.
Iron Man and Pepper Potts had a child at the last Avengers movie.
But I don't think it was on screen.
No,
I wouldn't count her as a superhero. Let's be frank.
So, and that was a 5-year fast forward sort of thing.
And she's doing like active superheroing pregnant.
No, she's not. So,
right.
So you're to your point.
It is.
Check that one off the box.
Yeah.
To your point,
there's on my bingo card.
This might be a first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. If not, that gets a bonus point from me as a woman. I'm just gonna say that.
There you go.
Another thing about this is this looks like it's trying to stay pure to the comic. As far as the look, I remember seeing the cartoons back in the 70s. This looks very, the vehicle they have, that robot they have, it looks just like the cartoon. I assume just like the comic. So they're trying to be, stick as much to the comic as they can.
Everyone's always complaining they aren't faithful to the comics, and here we go. But,
so this is not like, and by going back to the 60s, I think this is back probably when they were first introduced. It looks light. It looks fun. Yeah, I'm optimistic about this one. This one has the potential to be a hit for Disney / Marvel.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's step into some Star Wars news here. It's the Star Wars, the Japanese celebration just dropped. And so we got some news that kind of came out of it. Andor, of course, is dropping this week. By the time this airs, the first part of Andor will have been out. We're excited about Andor certainly gracing our screens. This Friday, Kiefer and I are going to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters. And so we're excited about that, the 20th anniversary of that movie franchise, which, talk about a trilogy that has aged well. Panned when it first came out, people have only grown to love this trilogy over time. And especially the Metachlorians. But beyond that, but we did have some good news that came out of the Star Wars celebration in Japan. Have you guys heard anything that dropped out of that?
This was news to me that they were doing.
Okay, so here's what we got. We found out that Ahsoka season 2 is filming, and a certain Jedi turned Sith will be making another appearance in the season again.
Oh yeah.
Yep. They what?
Is he really a Sith?
Not then, probably. Are we talking about Vader here? Anakin Skywalker will be making his appearance.
I was talking about Baylor.
No, but so Baylan Skoll will be back in. They have an actor they replaced him that actually looks kind of like him from the shots that they showed. So that's kind of they almost had to replace him. They announced that we will see the entire crew from Rebels, except for the Jedi that died. But everyone else will be there. So we'll get others. There were 2 that hadn't made the appearance in the Ahsoka series. So we'll see them in Ahsoka season 2. So that's pretty awesome as well.
So exciting.
Yeah. So that's definitely exciting. We got an announcement of another movie, Star Wars. Is it Starfighter? I think it is.
Starfighter.
With Ryan Gosling going to be a part of that franchise coming out in a few years. Right, of course.
It's Ryan Gosling.
I know. Well, you know what I'm excited about him is Project Hail Mary coming down the ranks here in about a year or so. So really excited about that.
Ian, what can I say? Like, it's throw them on a screen, you have me in a seat.
Yeah. So, and we're getting another Star Wars Vision. So those miniatures that they released that were animated, they're going to be that's going to be coming down the pike as well.
Aren't they also filming Mando and Grogu movie right
Yes,
now?
so this is also they also had Pedro, Sigourney Weaver, Jon Favreau, a few other friends. They were the Mandalorian and Grogu Star Wars celebration. There was some news on Thrawn as well as a part of that, facing off against Thrawn. Let me see if I can find any Thrawn news that was a part of that. But Star Wars news, Thrawn.
Star Wars also has a new turn-based strategy video game coming out.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of it right now, but I'm very excited for that one.
So they said we know that there's so here's what they said, that there's a villain that's connected to Thrawn that they're adding as well. And actor Johnny Coyne, Coyne, Connie, I guess, will be reprising his role as the Imperial Warlord, who is in the season 3 of The Mandalorian and part of the Shadow Council. Oh, and we are going to see Akbar.
Ooh.
Akbar is going to be making an appearance. So,
and we can't forget the animated show that you showed me the trailer of, Scott.
Dude, that of Outlaws was absolutely incredible. We see the return of one of my favorite bounty hunters and one of my favorite Sith, and that is we see Ace Ventress and Cad Bane back in the saddle. So I'm excited about that. That one's animated. I saw the trailer. I was so excited I had to run down and find Dave because I knew that he would geek out as much as I was. But.
I love that for you.
So yeah, we're totally excited about this.
I still have my love-hate relationship with Star Wars, where I love it but I also hate it. So it's fine.
So those are the big things. There's rumors of another Star Wars TV show that's in the works, and but I don't know a lot about that. So
there's always a rumor.
Yeah.
Of a movie or a TV show or something.
You got an IP that big.
Might as well make work of it,
Just
right?
don't mess it up.
And they have.
Tackle like the crap out of this. They have.
Exactly. And then you wonder why I have a love-hate relationship with it.
Well, but again, they...
Cycles.
Well, yeah, and a lot of their stuff has been getting, not just the Star Wars IP, but getting panned big time. That anybody with half a brain in that top 4 offices need to be like, okay, we need to course correct something here majorly, because this is
why we don't reward their bad behavior by watching things that are shit.
Yeah, and they haven't.
Dave?
And they haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Star Wars Outlaws, by the way, Dave, is out in May.
Out in May.
That's what they're saying here. But so we shall see.
Very good.
All right. Well, talking about all things Star Wars, Miles, you and I had a chance to chat with the General himself, as well as Jyn Ordo this, I guess it was this summer. Tell me a little bit about this meeting.
So we had the opportunity to meet Ms. Sadler and Mr. Wood, Helen Wood, and Matthew Sadler. They were together. They're voice actors. Helen has done a lot of other live action, but right now, I guess her claim to fame is being a voice actor for Star Wars, and a lot of Star Wars fans came to that. But they were very kind as far as giving us some time to talk to them about their work and just some of the stuff they're doing in the Star Wars universe. So they were at Farpoint this past year, and we got to hang out with them and talk about all things Star Wars and their careers.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. Wood, of course. Who's the guy that played General Grievous? His name again?
The voice actor was Matthew Sadler.
Yeah, so Matthew Sadler, voice actor. I went up to him, not realizing it, and the story as to how he became Grievous was absolutely fascinating. This guy was a sound engineer, began playing with sound when he was a preteen, I think, and lived just down the road from Lucas Ranch, which, by the way, I can't imagine doing that. Got hired by Lucas Ranch and began doing a lot of their audio. And when the General Grievous came up, I'll let him tell the story. I won't ruin it. But just a fantastic interview. Just listening to the two of them just talk about how they got the roles and how they represented them. And yeah, it was fantastic. And I'm sure we'll see Grievous back again on the screen sometime. But yeah, so without further ado, this was our interviews with the General Grievous and Jyn Ordo, the animated characters at least. And we'll be back right after that to finish up with a little bit of dessert.
I heard you were a sound engineer, so don't judge me too harshly here.
No, it's all right. Oh, you're going to use that mic?
Right?
I don't know.
No, you're like
this guy knows his stuff. I'm kidding.
I'm Scott Hertzog.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Miles. How's it going?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Do you want us to be closer? Do you want to?
I could. You can just put it right in the middle, though. That'll work.
Yeah.
It's your voice matter, not ours. But
glad to talk to both of you. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks
Good
so
to
much.
see
It's
you.
Great being here.
yeah, it is. It is. So let's start with you.
Yeah.
Audio engineering, was that your background mostly?
I mean, I started pretty early at Lucasfilm as a kid, so it was. I'd always had an ear for sound. My grandfather worked in broadcasting, and so I would play with his reel-to-reel tape recorders as a kid. And then my dad used to do business in Japan, and so he'd come back with really amazing electronics. And one of them was a little cassette recorder that I used to run around with and play with as a kid. So, and I'd watch Star Wars on TV and record it and make fake interviews with Darth Vader. And so I always loved sound. And then I got a Macintosh when I was 14 in 1987 or something, and then there was a sound recording tool on there you could play with, and so it was always something I had a passion for. And then I got an opportunity to work at Lucasfilm, and doing video games. But then that George Lucas wanted a young kid to come and work in the sound division to try to sort of work on his development of a sound application he made called SoundDroid, which was a nonlinear editing system for sound that we were going to use to make the Star Wars prequel. So that was my path into sound.
Wow,
so and then I've never left. So
and how much as a young kid, what a dream to work for Lucas.
Yes, it was one of those kind of moments where right place, right time. Also, just having a skill set which George liked, and it happened to be near me, and I had a supportive family, and the ability to go and work there and drive, to this destination, Skywalker Ranch, that was somewhat close by. But yeah, very, very, very humbled by it, and a lovely team of people that we work with out there. So, yeah.
So you probably not only saw technology change, but you probably saw it invented before your eyes.
Yeah, that was we came in at that sort of point between when analog technology was kind of coming to an end, which was tape-based editing, and we were getting into the computer. And that's George Lucas wanted to make more Star Wars movies, but he wanted to have the freedom to work in a digital realm, to be able to change and work sort of out of sequence and nonlinear, and be able to make quick adjustments, and that was what computers were for. So he wanted that tech, and he invested his own money into developing technologies to serve him to make those movies. And so that was we invented it as we went, because we were being sort of bankrolled by the creator of the show, George Lucas. So that was a very unique place to be, and also when he wanted things, and he never really threw his name around, but if I went to a technology company that I was saying, hey, I like what you're doing, but could you also do this and maybe develop this? We might use it on Star Wars. You would get a lot of response for yes, and a lot of developers that I worked with in my early time out there, really, it was a lot of eager and enthusiastic folks to make something that you want to work with. So that was a great thing to be part of Star Wars during that time and watch technology change and be part of making that change. Yeah.
Now, both of you have ended up voice acting then for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you ended up in Bad Batch and some of the other Star Wars stuff.
Well, my route was sort of traditionally through the acting route that's laid out for a lot of people. I did youth theatres, drama lessons, school plays, all of that, and then I went to drama school, went to university, and then I went to drama school in London. And I moved to Chicago, actually, after graduation, and did a lot of theatre. So I really got grounded in the theatre scene in Chicago, and that was my path into voiceover. So a lot of voiceover actors are theatre actors because you're using your voice as an instrument. You have to be flexible and imaginative and often see worlds around you that aren't there.
Right.
So rather than having a set real people, you have to kind of act with people who aren't there. And often a lot of times in the theatre, there's a lot of black box acting with very little around you, So yeah, I got a voiceover agent in Chicago, and my first job in Star Wars was actually the Old Republic. Star Wars, the Old Republic, the video game.
Right.
And that sort of started me off in the Star Wars world. And what's great about voiceover in particular is quite often when you're working in a game or an animation, you often meet a lot of the same people. So people bounce from project to project. So often if you've worked on one thing, they bring you back for another character in something else. Or you voice match a character and then you play them across all the platforms.
Right.
So Rey, for example, I remember getting that audition. I was in Los Angeles at that point, and my agent in Los Angeles was like, oh, there's an audition for you. This is top secret, because no one knew that they were doing sequels.
Right.
It's completely, secretive. But the audition said she's like a young female Han Solo with a London accent. And I thought, oh, well, that's me. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have a go at this. And when I read the script, I was like, I don't know. I mean, it says she's like a female Han Solo, but I was like, I wonder if this is a Star Wars project. And I was like, I don't know. Anyway, and I was given one tiny snippet of dialogue that was from Daisy from the film, because I had to voice match.
Right.
And out of context, one tiny line, I had to listen to it over and over. And I was like, oh, okay, she sort of sounds like this, which is like, I think the line was, what's your hurry, thief? This droid says you stole that jacket, it belonged to his master, something like that. And so I heard that and I was like, oh, okay. And then I had other lines I had to do in that voice. So that's how I got cast as the Rey voice.
That's awesome.
And so that was a Lego project I did, which came out before the movie. I mean, we recorded it before the movie came out. So then I saw the movie and I was like, oh, well, now I know who she is. I may have done a few things differently, but anyway. So I carried on playing Rey, and then I'm trying to remember how the Bad Batch specifically came around, that role. I mean, I'd done a lot of stuff in different video games, but I was cast by Dave Filoni to play Jyn Erso, so I voice matched Jyn Erso. I did her in Battlefront and then Forces of Destiny. So I was in that world doing various characters in different animations and games. And then I think the casting director, Lindsay, had used me in various animations and games. And so I think I was offered the role of Dr. Scolder in Bad Batch. And that was fun, because it's always fun playing baddies or goodies,
Right. Challenging for you to take an established character like Rey or Peggy Carter, or do an original character. Like, this character, we don't know much about her yet except what's on the script. But what was more challenging for you in that?
That's a good question. I mean, what's challenging in a voice match is you have to honor another actor's performance. So, I've done Captain Phasma, Jyn, Peggy Carter, obviously Ray. So you want to be true to the character they've built, but you're getting new lines. So it's finding that where the voice sits for that character, how you feel they would probably respond to those circumstances, but they're new circumstances. And what was actually quite fun was when I played Darth Ray in Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, I was playing Ray if she was a Sith.
Yeah.
So that was fun because it was something that we did see Daisy do that a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker when she had that moment as Dark Ray. But I got to develop that. So that was like quite a fun challenge. And then when you get a new character, of course, you're building your own creation with the director and with the script. And that's always, a fun thing to get to, be someone you've never seen before. And I think maybe one of the challenges there is trying not to repeat what's been done already, find a new way into somebody's conflict, and what's going on with them. Yeah.
And then Grievous.
Yeah.
The voice. Obviously, you were in the world already doing sound editing.
Right.
And
right.
So how did that all transpire?
Oh, it was another one of those fortuitous things where George was looking for a particular voice for the character. He had a very distinct, scary bone-looking face with these cat eyes, and I remember seeing the first image of it from Star Wars Insider. It was the cover shot, and I was like, "Whoa!" Because we were working on the movie, but at that point, it wasn't totally fleshed out. The design, we were still in pre-production. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, wow! I wonder what that's going to sound like," And so we kind of had a lot of back and forth with the kind of voice that George wanted, and I was involved in that process of coming up with what it was going to sound like from a technical standpoint in the movie. He was going to have the fiction of it is that he's some form of biological creature that's been injured, and he has these cybernetic attachments to make him be able to live again and also attack, and be a force for the separatists. But it was a synthesized voice that was supposed to take place, and I was coming up with what that part would sound like. I would take an actor's performance and run it through this process with my colleague Chris Scarabosio at Skywalker Sound, and George would listen to the voices that we were doing from the casting agent Robin Gerlin, and he'd be like, I kind of like this one, but maybe I like bits of that one and this one, and he wasn't really hitting on one, and so we just kept going with it. And my colleague Chris was like, on the last batch we had made, he's like, you should put your own voice in there. You should do one. And I was kind of reticent because no, that's ridiculous. I don't want to. He's like, you've been listening to everything George said. Just do one. Just put it in there. And he kind of had to convince me. And I had just come off I'd done this really intense acting program right before I'd started working on the film. And so I was kind of a little bit emboldened by that to be like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And then about a week after I'd submitted the batch to George to listen to, I got a call from the producer, Rick McCallum, saying, hey, George picked a voice. And I had given him file names that had the initials of every actor in the file name. And he's like, it's this initials. And it wasn't any initial that I had on my list of all the actors. I was like, what is that? Because it wasn't, I used a pseudonym when I did it for myself, and I had already forgotten. So I was looking at the list going, none of those actors have those initials. What is this? And then I was like, oh, wow, that's me. And so that was a little, a lot of emotions happening at that point, because you're like, do I tell them? Do I act like it's missing? Or do I get some other actor to impersonate me so they can get it? But no. I just was like, I'm going to just tell him. I said, Rick, that's me. And he was like, what? Okay. George is talking to everybody around the office that we've got the voice. So okay. And then so I waited by the phone. About, he told George, and an hour or so later I get the call, and he's right down the road from me, and hey, I hear you're going to be Grievous. That's great. We'll record it tomorrow. I'm so happy.
That's pretty good.
That is.
Yeah. So he was into it, and then we had a blast recording it, and my buddy Chris recorded us, and it was just like everything at Lucasfilm. My experiences when I worked with George, it was very independently minded. George is very accessible, and once you're sort of in his group there and he feels comfortable with you, it just feels like a bunch of friends just kind of working on a movie, and that's what we did. And we never really did overtime, and it was pretty decent, hours. Obviously, we're at Skywalker Ranch, which is this beautiful location, and so it was very conducive to creating these movies in an environment where you just felt like you could be creative, and it was a very rare situation. So I didn't even really understand the enormity of what it was until after we had. I in fact didn't even believe it was going to be real until I knew, because I work in movies, like, okay, now we've got to the point in this process where if they wanted to replace me, it would cost money.
Right.
Because now we've printed everything. It's going to go to start be distributed now. The foreign language versions are being made. Like it's like we're done. So I was like, I guess I'm in there, because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell any of my family, because I was expecting it at the last minute for George to be like, okay, well, that was fun. Let's go get the actual. But no, because and my colleagues who were working on it all liked it too. They're like, wait a minute, that's you? Because I told my colleagues, but who were working on the movie, and they all thought it was really good. So it was nice. But that's just how that sort of materialized. And George, during the very end, he was like, your life's going to change. And I said to him, I've been working for you for 15 years already. You've changed my life quite considerably. And he's like, no, this is different. You're going to have a different experience now.
That's awesome.
Because now it's a different kind. It's a whole different thing. And I was like, okay. But and it was. I mean, he was right in the fact that I get the chance to now, go to conventions and meet people, and also projects I work on now when I'm, 52 years old, and I'm working with directors that they find out that anecdote, or they know me as a voice actor now, and it's like, hey, that's you've created Grievous, and it's nice because it's a nice door opener, and as George said, it did change my life, definitely for the positive.
Right.
And I have it's a voice acting role, and I do like my anonymity, so I don't have to. It's not like my face is recognized. So I
walk out the street
I can have a completely normal life. We're both like, we don't have to deal. It's just nice. I enjoy. Only at like the Star Wars fan convention at Celebration is the only time I get like multiple people going, hey, and that's fun for a weekend. But I'm like, it's nice to be able to turn it off and be like, I can have a life. So
you do sometimes get stopped in supermarkets and things.
That happens occasionally. But like not enough where it's a hindrance to my life. It's actually quite. I like talking about this kind of stuff. It's fun.
Right. Well, so have you been to Skywalker Ranch then, or is this kind of?
I have, yeah. I've been a few times. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning on a lake, and it's like in this little town called Nicasio in NorCal. And I believe George owns the whole valley around it. This Valley Road. So it's a really, really stunning. And he has a vineyard, or I don't know if he's still.
He does. Yeah.
So there's a vineyard nearby as well, which makes Skywalker
wine.
Yeah, so
we had a chance to
gorgeous.
chat with Sam Whitwer.
Oh yeah, we know Sam.
Yeah, he was,
Sam a lot.
So he had done a lot of the voice work too, and that sort of. So future projects for you guys. What do you have coming up that you can plug or talk about that you aren't like under an NDA?
I don't know I mean, the things that they've announced that are in production, I'm sure we'll have some hand in. Which is Dave Filoni is a good colleague of ours, so we've worked with him. I've worked with him everything he's done at Lucasfilm, so I love to support him. So obviously we're working on it. We're producing a new Mandalorian movie.
Right, excited about that.
Yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu, which Dave's an EP on with Jon Favreau, who's directing. So we'll have involvement in that, and then straight after that, we're shooting a second season of Ahsoka.
Can't wait for that either.
So
Love that.
That's all going, and we most folks at Skywalker are pretty loyal. We pick our people that we like to work with, and we stay on that. And we've got a great group of folks that we've worked with. So
some animation things in the pipeline.
Yeah.
I believe.
yeah. So
We'll see a live action role for you, Miss Sadler.
Yeah, I mean, from your lips to
Yeah.
executive ears.
But
You've been trusted with these other characters. I think we can trust you with it.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. That'd be nice.
So-
It was fun seeing Skeleton Crew
Yeah.
come out and be so well received because we did
Yeah.
a lot of voices on that. And
Did you do any voices?
I did in the beginning. I mean, I did loot group, so I'm all over it and various, sort of aliens and background and pirates and whatnot. But in particular, in the first episode, I was the teacher droid, who's like a very boring, the fungibility of teaching the kids,
yeah,
good
the one
citizens.
the kid has to go to the
act at him.
bathroom, and you're all sit down or whatever you say.
Oh yeah, in the test.
In the test room, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a nanny droid in the home of the little girl who comes home, and I try and figure out how to lie for her.
Yeah.
And so I played some droids in that in the beginning, which is always fun. To practice your droid voices. But live action.
Yeah, you did in Ahsoka. You did that the really assassin-y one too.
Oh yeah, the assassin droid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dark droid. Right, hello sci-fi fans. This is Helen Sadler. I'm the voice of Rey in Lego Rey and across the Star Wars universe. You're listening to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. And I just bypassed the compressor, so you should be able to hear this fine.
And we're back. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in our sci-fi world before we wrap up tonight. And Miles, why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on in your science fiction universe?
Not as much as I would like, but I'm liking what I'm seeing and enjoying. I'm watching Daredevil on Disney Plus. They brought that back. It was on Netflix like 10 years ago. But the same actor plays Daredevil. Is still doing it. The same. Vince Vaughn is back for Kingpin. Watching that. So I broke down and I got an Apple TV subscription. They had a special, $3 a month for 3 months. So I am watching For All Mankind. It's a Ron D. Moore production. It's an alternate history of the space race. I'm not spoiling too much by saying the Russians in this timeline managed to land on the moon before we do, and so that jump starts the space race on steroids. Basically, it's like we have, it's like we cannot let the Russians, the Soviets, beat us at this. We have to, we got to be developing our space program, and so it's a fun kind of romp through the late 60s, early 70s, but also just an interesting what if we said, look, we're going to put everything into our space program and build a lunar lab and look forward to going to Mars. So I'm enjoying that. I'm reading a time travel novel called Reload. It's a sequel to the first one, the Journeyers series by K.G. Nelson. So that's what I'm enjoying right now.
Awesome.
Nice.
Chrissy, how about you? What's going on in your science fiction world?
So I just finished watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which is an anime that ties into the Cyberpunk 2077 game, and like everything Cyberpunk, it deals with a dystopian future and really asking like the relationship between like machines, technology, and humanity. And in this world, people do lots of like augmentation with their physical bodies. but it can come at a cost of your sanity. They talk about a lot of things like cyberpsychosis that happens. And so, like, edge runners really try and run that edge that happens between being able to use these augmentations without succumbing to the psychosis. And so it also like examines lots of themes of like how technology impacts our mental health, and what that means of like between like, okay, you're in this world and you kind of almost have a choice of like, do you augment yourself, but how far can you go before you lose yourself as a human being and your mental health? So had a lot of interesting themes that it was exploring, and I did really like it. It was one of those few times where I felt like they could have done a longer series, or like more episodes to more fully explore those themes, but it was pretty good. I would give it like 4 out of 5 stars.
All right. Anything else in your sci-fi world?
I'm usually reading like a couple books. Although this one's more like a fantasy science fiction. I was rereading Sail and Ascends and going through the Tower of Babel series. Just finished another, more like a genre bending where I was talking about like time travel, but also magic.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
Very cool.
Lots of books is usually what I'm doing.
All right. Dave, how about you? What's going on in your science fiction universe?
Well, I may have said before, got my wife watching Star Trek Picard, so I got to watch that again.
Darn.
Yeah, it was such an arm twister to do that.
I know.
Yeah, guys got me watching Andromeda a bit. Started liking that.
Sorry about that.
Liking that. No, it's fine.
What was
it's
the
good
thing
stuff.
that you missed because you were watching Picard? I forget.
Oh, that was that movie you guys were reviewed
The Electric State.
Electric State.
Yeah.
Did you watch your homework finally?
No.
Write your essay?
No, if I don't get it done on time, I just don't do it. That's always been my.
That's
been his
very
go-to.
disappointing. That is definitely going to be a 0 in the grade book, sir.
Yep.
What else was there? There was something else. Crap. Card, Andromeda. Oh, we finally got to play the 20th anniversary edition of Firefly.
Pretty fantastic.
That was Firefly the game. That was fun. That was great. Everybody enjoyed that. Hopefully, do that again soon.
I'm trying to arrange a game night. I'm not sure early May is going to work though.
Yeah, it might not.
But.
Yeah, that's really been a bit of it. I mean, it's been a lot of little hit and miss things here and there. I've been diving into another game. It's science-y faction kind of a way, not so much quite science fiction. If you guys are Tom Clancy fans, there's a game out years ago. It's called Tom Clancy's The Division.
Okay.
The premise of it is, it was really fun when I started playing it. A contagion, pathogen, virus was released and has wreaked destruction across America and most of the world at this point, and has thrown countries into chaos. And you play an agent, a kind of a last resort agent for the government that gets activated, and your job is to restore order in the cities and things like that. I've been the second one playing it. It's it's a fun game. It's a grinder, and it's just the story's really, really interesting and really fun. But yeah, that's really...
So there was a time period in my life, Dave, where I just devoured Tom Clancy books.
Oh yeah.
I love Clancy. I love the the spy, the spy, the cyber, the thriller aspect of it. Just really enjoyable read. So I get why you're playing him, because it's that sort of hooks me in, right?
If you liked him, there's two other authors, Brad Thor and Vince Flynn.
So
Vince
funny
Flynn
you might
passed.
ask.
Yeah.
Or not Brad Thor. Sorry, it was someone else.
Yeah.
But
Brad Thor, they write the same type of stuff, but their books, just like Clancy's, are freakishly relevant and accurate.
Right.
I blame Tom Clancy and those two guys for half of my conspiracy theory riddled brain. Because they're so on the nose and so relevant to the time period where their books come out. It's freaky.
Yeah. Well, so let me talk about my sci-fi world real quick, and then we'll wrap up. So in my sci-fi world, one of the things that I've been doing has been watching Invincible. We're not talking about it here tonight, but Kiefer did get me into the show. I'm a little bit over one season in, and I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying the animated superhero show available on Amazon, and the violence is somewhat gratuitous, but the story is compelling, and so I really gratuitous in a Watchmen sort of gratuitous way. But not
violence.
Yeah, but it's good. The story is really good of it. So been watching that with Key for a little bit. Been, of course, working my way through. I played Firefly with Dave. I really enjoyed the two sessions we did with that. And then the other thing that I did is I've been reading the Honor Harrington series. I'm probably in book 11 or 12. And political science fiction is the best way, like political military science fiction and how that plays in. So it's set in space. It's very. Go ahead.
I've heard good things about.
Yeah,
that.
it's very soap opera on one end, but it's they kind of set it up in like realistic military structure, and there's a lot of political stuff machinations that kind of set it up. But I took a detour this past week, and Miles, you may be familiar with this, but because it's a multiverse theory tie-in, it's not a tie-in, it's a movie tie-in of Dark Matter, which I did not see the movie, but I'm reading the book of it, and so it's this guy that gets kidnapped. You aren't sure what's going on, and you suddenly discover that what has happened is he was kidnapped, and a guy from another multiverse came in and kind of slipped into his life and took over his life with his wife and kid, and they kidnapped him. So it's kind of this whole other thing going on, and there's this whole other conspiracy beyond it. So it's kind of interesting. I'm about an hour from the end, and it's not a long book. It's about 10 hours long. And so I'm enjoying that for a little bit of diversion, and that's written by Blake Crouch. So recommended by my student teacher, and I'm really enjoying it. So so that's probably in the science fiction world.
Cool.
Yeah. So there you have it. Well, we'd love to hear what you folks are watching and reading, so you can leave that in the comments below or in Facebook or wherever you find this podcast. But we appreciate you joining us tonight, and it's been great chatting with you guys, talking about some of the news. I'm excited to go back and hear that interview that we did with Grievous and Jyn, and hearing them talk. And I'm obviously excited about Andor and excited about all things Star Wars as well. And we'll see. We'll see how Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four kind of wrap up this upcoming, and we'll see what other news drops about that. But I believe that's about it for me. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Well, Miles, why don't you take us out of the show?
All right. Till next time, good night and good luck.
We'll see ya.
Leave your tips on the table.
And go boldly.
All right.
so Scott don't drag us to some dumbass talent show again.
What if I want to be part of the talent show? What if I've been practicing my violin
Dave,
this
you're
whole
competing.
time in order to be on the talent
We're gonna sign you up to represent the diner.
I would actually die if that happened.
There's only one song, Dave, that you can sing. Only one
Only
song.
one song I know.
There is only one song, and if I recall, it was the theme song to one of your favorite Star Trek shows, "Faith of the Heart."
So I just heard
I've got faith of the heart.
and you're gonna make me play the violin for it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's either that or interpretive dance.
Yes.
Okay, so what I just
I want to
heard is
see
I'm
Dave
the
do
violin,
interpretive dance
Dave and
in a Sailor Moon outfit.
will be
Sailor Moon.
and Miles will be doing interpretive dance. That's what I heard.
Chrissy's whole interpretive dance to Faith of the Heart just revolves her walking back and forth across the stage, going like this.
Actually would not do that. I still have my old flagpole. I would make my friend sew a proper flag for it.
With a big finger.
I would have fucking color guard. Thank you. I could choreograph the whole thing.
Oh,
so
goodness.
don't you worry. I can do that if you really, really need me to. Just know I would hate you.
We do.
But I will be damned if you sign me up for something and I do not show up and perform like a fucking goddess.
Okay.
All right, you heard it.
Chrissy, we would not do that. That talent show thing was an absolute train wreck.
Miles, you would not do
because I
that.
wasn't there. Obviously, if I had been there,
It would have been genius.
That is true.
It's true.
Would have been genius.
And now I'm tempted to go practice with my flag and see if I can still do the catches and the tosses and everything else and
Absolutely
choreograph something because I really could. It would make me twitch to do it, but I would do it for you guys. Anyways, what are we doing? Where am I? What's going on?
A lot of this.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting trailers.
Yes. Let's do that.
And I thought maybe we would drop the last interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see time. It's supposed to be today. 9 p.m. ET, 6 p.m.
So we have
by
another
the
few
time
hours.
we're done this, you'll probably have to wait like an hour and a half.
Past my bedtime.
Yep, I'll be in bed.
Well,
Priorities, I know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Bedtime has no meaning when Andor drops. Are you not dedicated?
That means when I come into work early and I'm not allowed to clock in early anymore, I'm going to sit in my office and watch the first episode.
What do you mean you're not allowed to clock in early?
Oh, I got cranked out for all the extra time I've been putting in actually being productive because we're fully staffed and there's no reason I should be coming in early anymore. So I still come in early. I just sit in my office and twiddle my thumbs and play on the computer.
I'm personally confused. Why can't you just come in, clock in early, and leave early?
Oh, because I don't leave early either.
Well, that's
I never leave on time to begin with.
That really seems like a you problem. You should probably just leave on time. Why are you doing more work?
Because grown adults need babysat. Number one.
He's looking at me when he says that.
No.
That's not a you problem. It seems like someone else's problem.
It is a.
She's speaking to you as her therapist.
Yeah, it is a path and strategy of I am. What's the phrase Penn Manor likes to use right now? Unlocking new opportunities. Where I am
my personal experience, what happens is they don't pay you for that. You do that job. And then they just make that part of your job,
which is part of the
more work.
Yeah, which is part of the goal here. I'm trying to transform my position into something bigger that the district actually does need, and there is a recognized need for it.
could just
But-
stop doing it, and then they would
Well-
recognize the need.
That's what they're getting to now. That's what they're going to be hitting shortly.
So
Is they're
if you
going to start
stop
feeling
doing it, then
Correct.
they'll feel it. Is what I'm
Correct.
hearing. So you should
Correct.
stop. Is what I'm hearing.
But again, without you knowing the people involved, they might notice it, but they're too ignorant and foolish to acknowledge that they notice it and say that they were incorrect, and need to recycle the and revisit the thing.
I would just stop doing it as a boundary, as a personal boundary. And then when it's not done, and you can just be like, well, it could get done for more
I
money.
was doing it. How much is it worth to you?
If you told me to succeed, that's what you need to do. Just stop doing it. And stop doing it right now, because now is the perfect inconvenient time to stop doing it.
See, the other problem is that is typically my default path to go to, but I have self-sabotaged myself by my own smart-ass ways of doing things over the years that, again, I'm trying to turn a new leaf over at the same time. Because the big joke in my department now is, and you wonder why you can't get promoted every time my mouth opens and something comes out.
that you and my brother do share that in common.